Hi, this video is for unrooting your Google Pixel or Google Pixel XL, and we'll be using the factory images provided by Google. Now I'm not going to waste any of your time, this will not be a quick video, and this video is for people who are wanting to unroot their phone. They are for those who are wanting to go back to stock. There are also those who want to downgrade or return to a different version of Android, and for those people who are also wanting to sell their phone. So if you answered yes to any of these questions or points, then this video is probably right for you. Now to get started, I'm going to go over the contents of this video, and there are going to be timestamps linked down below to make it easy for you to switch between different topics. And the first thing we're going to take a look at is of course the downloads. We're going to go over what we need to download and what we need to have already done, so some prerequisites. Next up, I'll be showing you two methods. One is the shorter single-sided flash, and this is for someone who just wants to go back to stock real quick or needs to flash the stock firmware in order for them to do something else later on. Now you probably don't need to lock the bootloader either if you're doing method 1, just trying to get your phone back to stock Android or unrooting it. Next up is method 2, and it's for someone who is leaning towards selling their phone. It's only slightly longer because we're just repeating a flash pretty much, and is a double-sided flash, you can call it that. And I'd recommend this if you are looking to relock the bootloader on your Pixel, so method 2 that is. And I'll also go over erasing the device. Now I'll be doing this in stock recovery, but you can do it in either TWRP or the stock recovery. And erasing the device is pretty much for those who are coming from a custom ROM, such as Lineage OS or Resurrection Remix, or downgrading builds of Android. And I'll explain a little bit more when we get to that stage. And last but not least, I'll be talking about relocking the bootloader. This thing is optional, but if you're looking to pass safety net without having to do any patches or any other mucking around, then you'll want to lock the bootloader afterwards as well. But then again, we'll go over these details later on when we need to. Now next up, I'm going to talk about the requirements for doing this. First up is a computer. You won't be doing any of this on your phone. You're going to need a computer. It could be Windows, Mac, or a Linux-based computer. Next up is also a USB cable to plug your phone into your computer. It could be anything as well. You're going to need a little bit of time and patience, roughly 20 to 30 minutes. Especially if you're new at this, and of course this video isn't going to be quick in the first place. Excluding download, you're going to need an unlocked bootloader, and last but not least, you're going to want to have the fastboot device drivers already configured. Once again, this is a Windows only thing. If you're on a Mac or Linux, you don't need to install any drivers, and if you haven't used fastboot on your computer before, or this computer specifically, then I do have a video on installing the drivers there if it's not already installed automatically, and I can go over how to check that real quick along the process. But without any further ado, let's get started. So first up, we need to do is back up any of the data that you might need, because we will be wiping our device most likely. I'll show you anyways, but things like your photos, downloads, videos, music, and other maybe documents you may have, your app data, those may not be automatically backed up into the cloud. So you will need to double check all that. So if it's not on your computer or not in the cloud, you're going to lose it. And you also want to remove your Google account. And this is only for people who are wanting to sell their phones or pass it on to another friend or family member, things like that, where you don't want the phone to go into the factory reset protection mode, and you're gonna have to give out your Google details over the phone or through a text message. Not exactly desirable, especially if your phone's in another country overall. So to begin, we're going to have to download a few things, so let's just go over that real quick. And what we need to download is the latest SDK platform tools. This is just ADB and fastboot and is used to communicate between your phone and your computer. I'm going to download the one for Windows. You can read and agree to the terms and conditions and click on the blue download link. Once you have that downloaded, the only other thing you need is the factory image for your device. Now we go over here, you may need to accept some terms and conditions here. And once you've done that, we can go over to the right hand side where we can select Sailfish for Pixel or Marlin for Pixel XL. Depending on which model you have, you want to download the respective factory image. I have the smaller Pixel, so I'm going to be downloading whichever version that you like. You don't have to download the latest version, especially if you're wanting to downgrade, but I'm going to be downloading this version of Android Pie because I'm not on TELUS. Click on the blue download link, and by the end you should have these two files here. And more if you are installing the drivers and other things like that, but we're just going to be focusing on flashing the factory image. So we have the platform tools and our factory image. I'm going to close our Chrome window here. First thing you want to do is open up the Platform Tools zip file and just extract the entirety of the Platform Tools folder. This is so we make sure we have extracted everything. After that, we're going to open up the factory image and we're going to pull a few files from within. Most notably the image zip file, the bootloader image and the radio image. We're going to extract these 3 files outside, just like that. Okay, and once you've done that, we can close the factory image thing as well. So we're going to open up the Platform Tools, and in this folder on Windows, you can go up to the address bar and type in cmd to bring up a command prompt window that is already changed to your current directory. Very useful, in fact, if you're trying to change directories and it's confusing you. So once you have the files here, you can actually go back one folder, back to where the images and so the radio bootloader images and also the images zip file. You can go back to that folder. We're going to go ahead and boot our phone into the bootloader. So just follow me here to our phone. We're going to basically power it on. You can see I'm on Lineage OS. I'm going to power off the phone. Well, actually you can plug it in and tap on restart and hold the volume down button. Just keep holding it until your phone boots into the bootloader. Just keep holding it until you get into the bootloader. Now what I'm going to do here is do a few things on our computer. So let's switch over to our computer and we're going to type in the command prompt window. And also, by the way, if you're doing this on Mac or Linux, I'll have a slide come up right now. You will need to interact with the terminal or PowerShell window even on Windows differently depending on which operating system you have. So some of them you'll need to prefix the word fastboot or the executable fastboot with the dot and // so something like this for I think Linux and Mac OS. But on PowerShell you want to do a dot / because Windows uses / instead. Very weird. But in the command prompt you don't need to do any of that. So once you understand how to run the programs, we can get started by running the fastboot devices command. So just type in fastboot devices there and that should return your serial number for your devices that is connected. And if nothing shows up here, what you want to do is double check the status of your connected device. So right click on your start button here and go to Device Manager. Once again, this is only on Windows. On Mac and Linux, it should have appeared for you. And you should see your phone here under Android phone or something like Google. It should say Android bootloader interface. Maybe you have the Lee Mobile Android device drivers installed by Windows 10. It might be down here for, of course, under L. It's in alphabetical order. So here it should say bootloader interface. So have a look at my driver installation video if you're still unsure. But once your device is connected, we can go ahead and discuss the potential use of the different methods. So right now I'll be showing you method 1, a quick one-sided flash using the fastboot update commands to flash the images with respect to the current slot. We won't be swapping any of the boot slots or doing anything like that. We're just going to be very basically flashing the factory images to whatever slot you are on currently. But if you're looking to make your phone look like it was just bought off a shelf or pretty much brand new, you want to have a look at method 2, which I'll have a link to that in the more info below. It's just a timestamp, it's further up in the video. But if method 1 sounds like something for you, then we can get started right away. So now that you've determined that your device is connected in fastboot and your device is in fastboot, like so, what we can do now here is flash the stock bootloader image. So we can type in fastboot flash bootloader and then drag in the bootloader image from our Android folder into our command prompt window like so. Make sure there is a space after the word bootloader and press enter. This will send the bootloader to your phone and your phone will deal with it by itself. It's going to flash the slot there. Now once that's done, we're going to reboot our phone back into the bootloader. This can be done on your device by using the volume buttons to navigate the menus until it says restart bootloader and then pressing the power button to do so. I'll show you a fastboot command the next time we have to do something like this. And the next command we need to type in is to flash the radio image. So we're going to type in fastboot flash radio, leave a space after radio and drag in the radio image and hit enter. This will flash the radio to the current slot. And to reboot our phone into the bootloader once again, after the image has finished flashing, we're going to type in fastboot reboot -bootloader. and hit enter, and you can see our phone will turn black and then boot into the bootloader again. And once we've done that, we can go ahead and use our fancy fastboot update command. We're going to go ahead and start off that by typing fastboot and use 2 dashes. I'm going to type in skip dash reboot because we need to do a few things after flashing the factory image as well. So again, double dash skip dash reboot and then type in update. Leave a space after the word update and drag in the image zip file, not the factory image, but the one we extracted, and hit enter. And this will start flashing the stuff, the images to our phone, I should say. And your phone will be able to flash all those images to your current slot and then flash specifically the system_other image to your other slot as well. So we're just going to wait for this to finish. I'm going to fast forward this, and if you run into any errors flashing these images, all you have to do is try reboot your phone back into the bootloader and just run the same command, the update command, once more, see if that works out for you. So I'm going to fast forward this until it finishes, and then after this you should be ready to wipe your device. So what I want for you to do once this is done, all you have to do is go down to the more info and locate the erasing device timestamp link. Click on that and continue from there because this part of the method is finished. Okie dokie, so this is method 2. It's a slightly longer version of method 1 and will cover both sides or both slots on your device. So we're going to be using the fastboot update command to flash the images irrespective of which slot. So there are a few extra flags that we put in for this, and both slots will be flashed with the active slot's images, and then the active slot will be set back to A, so it doesn't really matter which current boot slot you're on. And this is for those who are looking to bring their phone back to a factory stock and will have peace of mind when relocking the bootloader. So to get started, of course, we've already discovered that our phone is connected successfully to our device with the fastboot devices command, and you can see the serial number there. And what we're going to do now is just flash the images to our device. So first up, we're going to flash the bootloader image, so we can type in fastboot and 2 dashes and then type in the word slot and then type in all afterwards and then type in the word flash, then the word bootloader and leave a space after bootloader. So we're adding the slot command or flag here to determine or tell the bootloader or fastboot which slots you want to flash with this image to. So we're going to do both because it's a kind of a common image, the bootloader. So I'm going to drag in the bootloader image and hit enter, and that should flash bootloader A with the bootloader image and as well as bootloader B with the same image. I don't really think you need to worry about these lines when it says flashing active slot A. It probably just read that off from somewhere, but as long as it says sending bootloader B and writing bootloader B without any issues, then I think you'll be fine. So we're going to reboot our phone into the bootloader. Once again, you can actually go to your device here, use the volume buttons to select restart bootloader, and then press the power button to select that option, and our phone will reboot itself back into the bootloader. And once you've done that, we can go ahead and flash the radio images in the same fashion. So we're going to type in fastboot 2 dashes slot, type in all, leave a space after that, and then type in the word flash and radio as well. So leave a space between flash and radio, and leave a space after radio as well, and we're going to flash the radio image. So just drag that in from our folder and hit enter, and it's going to do the exact same thing. Okay, that took less time as well. And here is the special part. We're going to type or start flashing the factory images from our image zip file. So we're going to type in the word fastboot and then type in 2 dashes and then slot and then type in the word B, and we're also going to type in double dash skip dash reboot and then type in the word update, leave a space after update and drag in the image zip file and hit enter. Now this should start flashing everything to our B side and won't reboot our phone automatically afterwards. That is the skip reboot flag. So we're going to wait for everything to extract, and hopefully it'll start flashing everything to the B slot, and we'll see that soon enough. Here we go, you can see it's starting to flash the images to the B slot, and it's going to flash our system_other image to the A slot. But that's why we do the B slot first, because we're going to pretty much overwrite some of the changes when we flash it to the A slot. So I'm going to fast forward this, and again, if you run into any issues, such as too many links or failed to write, something like that, try rebooting your phone back into the bootloader, or unplugging, replugging the USB cable, and just running the same command as we did just then. So I'm going to fast forward this step until we finish flashing the B slot, and then we're going to do the A slot afterwards. Alrighty, so we're finished here. We're now going to do the same command, so we can press the up arrow on our keyboard to bring up a previous command, and we can use the arrow keys to go all the way back to slot B, where it says B, and we're just going to change that to A and hit enter and let it do the exact same thing. Now this will pretty much get our phone into a very proper state where the system other image is actually being flashed to the B slot, and now we're going to replace everything in the A slot as well. So I'm going to fast forward this step until we get to the end where we'll change our active slot to slot A. Alrighty, so everything's finished flashing now to both slots, and we're ready to set the active slot to A. So we're going to type in this one simple fastboot command. So we're going to type in fastboot --set-active equals A, just like that, and it'll set our current slot to A. And if you want to see the changes, you need to reboot your phone back into the bootloader. So we're going to type in fastboot reboot-bootloader and hit enter. And our phone should reboot back into the bootloader, and you should notice the boot slot on this should have changed to A. Mine was already on A, so it shouldn't have changed, but if yours was on B, then it should have changed to A. Now that's it for method 2, that's all we need to do, and next up we'll be erasing our device. So now that you've successfully flashed the factory images, depending on, it doesn't really matter if you did method 1 or method 2, there are a few things we need to consider before restarting our device, and basically, you need to erase the device if you are coming from a custom ROM. It's just good practice too. Also, when downgrading from Android builds. So if you're from Oreo and you want to go back to Nougat, you're going to need to wipe your device. If you're going from even builds within versions, so for example build 5 of Oreo for example, and you want to go back down to build 2, you should wipe your device. You may be able to get away with it, but it's more than likely that your phone will start, I guess, crashing or becoming a bit unresponsive, right? And you'll end up factory resetting it anyways. And also if you're wanting to sell your phone, which is a bit obvious, but it's something that you should do, wipe all the stuff from your device. And I'm going to be doing this in the stock recovery because it's just a little bit easier to do so and will pretty much encompass everything that it needs to. But you can also do it in TWRP if you're interested in keeping your internal storage, because using the stock recovery will wipe everything from your internal storage. So with that being said, we can go ahead and do that, and we won't be needing our computer for this section pretty much. So let's go back to our device here. It's a little bit dim, but what we need to do is go to the option where it says recovery mode and then press the power button to select that, and our phone should boot into the stock recovery. So if you see TWRP here, you've done something wrong and you should probably do one of the methods again. But our phone should boot into a little Android figure with no command here, and what we need to do is hold the power button and press volume up at the same time. So what I'm going to do here is do that and then tap on volume up, and that will get you into the the Android recovery options. And from there, what you want to do is to go down until you see, let's see, wipe data / factory reset. I'll just zoom this in a bit. And from there, all you need to do is press the power button to select it, and then press yes to select that option, and it's going to start wiping our device. And you'll see down here what it's formatting. So let's just wait for that to finish, and after that, we're going to reboot our phone back into Android. Okay, once the data wipe is completed, we can select reboot system now by pressing the power button with it selected, and our phone should pretty much boot up back into Android. And from there, this is quite important, this is where you want to check that everything still works, I guess especially if you're trying to sell it. But even for your own sake, you want to make sure that your camera works, the screen is fine, your apps start working, your GPS, phone calls, microphone, and pretty much anything you can possibly think of before relocking the bootloader, and especially before selling it. It's just so we can have the chance of recovery or seeing what's wrong before we lock ourselves out of our own phone. So I'm going to wait for our phone to boot up here and pretty much just quickly set it up. Now if you do end up setting up the device, you can just follow this exact section again, erasing the device, and not to worry actually, relocking the bootloader will erase your device anyways. There we go, that is the Android P setup screen, looks very nice. So it says hi there, and we can set up our phone as per usual, but we can skip that, skip connection to Wi-Fi, doesn't really matter. And let's just see that our phone works just fine. So I'm just going to take a look at the camera once I get past, whoops, this screen. Okie dokie, so we're in. I'm just going to launch the camera just to see that it works. And yes, it works just fine. Okay, now once you've verified that your phone is working, we can go on and have some fun. And when I say fun, I mean relocking the bootloader. And this is our final, but once again, optional step that we need to do. So like we just did then, we made sure that our phone works completely after flashing the factory image. And it's a bit late now, but please don't relock immediately. And a locked bootloader is required to pass safety net, which I alluded to just then, unless you want to flash a patched kernel to bypass it. And last but not least, once again, it is optional. You don't have to do this. You don't have to relock the bootloader. Even if you're selling it, you don't have to relock the bootloader, but I guess it's just nice to have that, extra security, peace of mind, whatever you want to call it. And especially if you don't want people complaining that they can't play Pokemon Go or use Snapchat with their new phone after they bought it. But yeah, this is something you need to consider, even if you're not selling it, that safety net won't pass if you have an unlocked bootloader at all. So once we're cool with that, we can relock the bootloader, and it's very easy. All you have to do is type in a few commands, or just one really, but we need to get our phone back into the bootloader first. So I'm just booted up here, doesn't matter. We can just press and hold the power button, again, tap on restart, and hold the volume down button until our phone boots into the bootloader interface. Just keep holding it until our phone reaches that stage. Sometimes it does take an extra while. So once we're in there, we can now go ahead back to our command prompt window or Powershell or Terminal and type in these few words. We're going to type in fast boot, flashing, lock, like that. And you can see our screen has changed into a question saying lock bootloader. And if we want to lock the bootloader, we want to select yes using the volume button. So I'm going to do that. You can see yes is highlighted now. And to confirm the selection, we will press the power button. This will wipe your device once more and will relock the bootloader for you. So our little padlock will disappear as well. So your phone may freeze here for a little bit. Mine likes to do that a lot for some reason, although no other phone in my possession really does that, freezes on locking the bootloader or unlocking it. But I think around 30 seconds it'll reboot itself back into Android, or the recovery to wipe itself if not, and you should see your phone boot up normally afterwards. So here it is, turning off. It's going to be in the bootloader, and I think from there we can just press start, and that should wipe our device, and you can see our padlock has disappeared as well. So our phone's going to boot up into Android, and from there you're pretty much ready to sell. So while our phone is booting up, I'd just like to make a few finishing remarks. Well, first of all, thank you for watching the video, and if you have any questions, you could definitely leave it down in the the comment section down below. And if you want to chat about anything else, or if you have questions as well, you can reach me on Discord as well. Much better than the YouTube comments. But then again, that is some other service that you need to sign up for. But if you're cool with that, yeah, I'm on Discord and you can chat with me over there. And if you have any other questions, again, leave it down below in the comment section. And as always, happy flashing.